Good afternoon, traders. Thank you for being here. This is our March 4th daily trading live session. I'm going to show you a couple of things today, including some day trades. But first things first, I had a comment come in from Zach, and I do apologize, Zach. There are opportunities available for our one-on-ones in March. I just forgot to put them in this week, and that's just because I'm old. Mr. Producer, do not make a comment about that. But Zach, I will absolutely get the availability for the week filled out, and you can go back on there and fill out what you got there. I understand that completely. I have done that so many times. Guys, today is an interesting day because I just said the other day that my producer thinks he's funny. He thinks he's right. You know what? I'm going to let you produce the show. How about that? And I'll just do the talking. Today is an interesting day because just the other day, I mentioned that we're going to just focus on one thing. And then I realized just showing Frank on the daily chart is going to be really boring. And then it occurred to me, this verse jumped out at me, and I want to show you this to you. This is from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. And you may have heard this from, there was a song from 1965 by the Byrds called Turn, Turn, Turn. But anyway, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. And that is so applicable in our trading. And when you've got, let's call it a strategy and a time period, like I've got, right? So I've got this block in the afternoon, 30 minutes from 3:30 to 4. It's great for trading the daily chart because the daily candles of stocks are closed. The daily candle of Forex is closing. You can get everything you need to get done for the entire day in this period of time. But I've also got a block of time in the morning, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, that range. Is there a purpose that I could serve there? So this morning I decided I'm going to grab the Forrest Strategy and I'm going to day trade with them. I'm not going to go crazy as far as looking at lots of things. Remember, there's a purpose. There's a time for every purpose. So I'm just going to look at two things. I'll look at the NASDAQ in all of its various forms, and I'm going to look at gold. I'm going to show you those here in a minute. So stick around for another 5 minutes, and we'll get to that. The day trade. By the way, if you saw the graphic there, this is day trading with that little person. That's Forrest Gump, right? So I call the two strategies that are both, I reference them as being dead simple. So you've got Frankenstein representing dead and Forrest Gump representing simple. I do that because I think I'm clever. So we're going to show you both of those, starting with trading Frank here on the daily chart. So, first things first, let's look at the economic calendar. I don't think there's anything we need to worry about. There was nothing today that really affected anything. Tomorrow we've got nothing. These jobless claims really don't have an effect, even on day trading. And then Friday, we do have something. So Friday, for all of you day traders out there, be very careful about non-farm payroll coming out at 7:30 Central. So updating you, I'm in this Aussie Swiss trade from the February the 11th, and we almost got to our take profit yesterday. This is the Frank strategy, and we're still in it. We're still positive. We've got two Forex pairs with signals on those today. If you wanted to do anything for them, now is your chance. So you look at this and say, well, hang on, I don't see a signal. We had a signal from 2 days ago. 3 days ago, we had a signal. And this is one of those situations. And I'm going to show you later on in Forrest. If you miss it, sometimes you get a second chance at it. So we had this massive candle on Monday. This is just reaction to war news. And then a slow grind down. Remember how Frank works. Frank works on a breakout, essentially. And by the way, tomorrow I'm going to go over the difference between Forrest and Frank from a logical standpoint, why they do what they do, and when to apply each one. Remember, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose. Each one has its own purpose depending on where price is. So I'm going to go over that, the difference between Forrest and Frank, because you can trade them both on the same chart depending on price action, depending on what price is doing. Frank is a breakout. And we enter on Frank at the low of this candle. Well, we had this massive war news and then a slow pullback. So as of right now, we are slightly above entry. So if you missed your first opportunity to get in on this trade, you've got another shot at it. Now, me personally, I'm putting my stop up here at the high of the previous candle. You can do that. We can put it wherever you want to, for that matter. But so if you missed getting in on the Euro Swiss on Friday, now's your chance. You can do it again. Another one is Pound Aussie. We got a signal to go short today, right now. The candle just closed. One of the reasons I love trading at 3:30 p.m. Central is because you think about what a candle represents. It represents all of the information, all of the trades that have happened during the course of whatever time period that is. In this case, it's a daily candle. So this candle represents all of the trade data that has happened in the course of a day. And we're 30 minutes out of 48 30-minute blocks from closing. So what are the odds that price is going to do something drastic in the last 30 minutes? Pretty low. That's why I can be confident that, hey, this signal is not going to disappear in the next 30 minutes. That's why I do this, right? That's why I picked this time. So here's this, and I've already got this one sent to my broker, sent to City Trader Imperium prop firm. Would anybody like a discussion on prop firms? We had a discussion on prop firms last week in our mastermind in our community. But if you guys would like me to talk about prop firms, go over them and whatnot, just let me know in the chat, and I can schedule a lesson plan on that. But anyway, so these are the two setups that I'm seeing right now on Frank on Forex. I've also got one over here on stocks. So let me just show you that real quick. This is on Verizon. Now, you say, well, I don't see a signal. Neither do I. And yet, this candle right here is absolutely an engulfing candle. Price opened below the whole moving average, and the 200 is green. Everything is set up. Zach says yes. Okay, I will absolutely do a one of these days on prop firms. We'll go over them all. So why did you ask the question? Okay, Pepper, then why did your indicator not give you an indication? I have no idea, because sometimes computers glitch out. But the logic behind why Frank does what it does is still here. We're below this. It's green. That's green. We had an engulfing candle. So I went ahead and entered. Now this one's interesting because I just saw it. Right, it was yesterday's candle, but again, we're pretty close to where the entry from yesterday would have been. So I went ahead and sent an order on my E-Trade account, an after market order, which will expire 8 p.m. In which case I'll have to come back and put it back in as a limit order for tomorrow. And if price never comes down and tag the entry was 51.10, right? The high of that candle is 51.10. So it closed at 51.20. If price never tags, and it's an ACB trade. What's an ACB trade? Ain't coming back. I'll show you a day trade tonight that I put on NASDAQ. It was an ACB trade. So 3 setups on Frank right now. We've got Verizon going long, and we've got, what were they? Euro Swiss and Pound Aussie. All of them on the daily chart. Now, let me switch over to Forrest and show you what I have been doing on, I say day trading. Remember, there's a I don't want to get hung up in the terminology when I say day trade, because a lot of people think that for a lot of people, day trading sort of morphs into more of an identity than an activity. Has anybody ever sort of taken on that identity? I'm a day trader, right? Like you're from that movie from the 1980s. When in honesty, all a day trade means is you open it and close it within one trading day. And depending on price action, what you thought would be a day trade might not be. And what you thought would be, I entered a swing trade earlier today, and it closed out in 4 or 5 hours. It wasn't intended to, but it did. So was that a day trade? Yeah, technically, but it wasn't. I didn't set out for that. So here's gold. So first thing I do this is the Forrest Strategy. I know there's a lot going on here. I'll explain it all. The first thing I do on this, let me go over to this. Yeah, and is I determine, hey, how long is this trade going to last? How long do I think this trade could last? I start out on the 1 hour chart. First things first. Look at the 1 hour chart. All right, 1 hour chart, everything's pointing down. Everything, not only are all of my moving averages pointing down, but the Forrest indicator has given me 3 red dots. You can't see that last. There's your last red dot, which means we're only going short. We're not going long. We're only going short. Add to that, if you're doing supply and demand strategy, I've got one demand zone and 1, 2, 3, 4 supply zones. Everything says go short. Okay, so that's my direction. Let me confirm that up on the higher time frame. If your trade's going to last more than 4 or 5 hours, always check a higher time frame. Why is that? The daily trend has gravity that extends down in time. I sound like I should be on Doctor Who. It's all wibbly wobbly. So the longer your trade lasts, the more likely that trade, whatever direction you are thinking about going, more likely price is going to get pulled along with whatever the daily trend is. So unless you're convinced this trade that you're going for this tiny amount and it's going to be over with in 15 minutes, check the higher time frame. Go start with the daily. We're looking at, okay, so everything's pointed up, but my goodness, look at this massive candle down and then this massive candle down. Are we really up? I mean, basically the moving averages have gone flat. So it's a little confusing. It's a little unclear. If you had to put a gun to my head and say, hey, is this an uptrend or downtrend? I would say, well, it's an uptrend. We were in an uptrend, and until we switch the other way, we have to say that's what we're in. So let me go down to the 4-hour chart. Well, the 4-hour chart shows a little bit cleaner picture. We were in an uptrend, and now we're in a downtrend. Okay, is there a place to get in? No, everything still says go along with that one. Now down to the 1-hour chart. Okay, here we go. And in this case, I'll say we had our great setup here. Let me, for the sake of argument, for the sake of clarity, let me remove my, you know what, I have a handy dandy, what is it, Alt-S? Get rid of my supply and demand tool? No, apparently not. Okay. Let me get rid of my supply and demand tool so you can see this more clearly. And let me get rid of my moving averages so you can see this more clearly. So this is just what Forrest shows. So 2 moving averages and these dots that represent highs and lows is all it is. So the strategy says, hey, we made some new lows and the time to get in is on a touch of the 30. Well, the beauty of this particular strategy on Forrest is you're hoping to get in on a pullback. Well, pullbacks don't just stop on a dime as soon as you enter them and go back into the way you wanted them to go. There's momentum behind them. And honestly, you don't want to always nail your entry on a pullback. Like, why not? Because it means that you were that close to missing it completely. We talked about before, and I think Zach is in the Navy. We talked about before my father's friend who was a naval aviator. They don't apparently call them pilots, but anyway, when you're landing on an aircraft carrier, you want to catch the 2 middle ones. If you catch the first one or the last one, you get chewed out. Well, the same thing happens here. If you nail it to the penny, to the pip, I mean, you were 1 penny away from missing it completely. So the first touch of the 30 was here, and then price momentum carried it up past that. So then say, okay, well, price is up here. Now what do we do? Well, now here's the beauty of it. Now you can enter the same exact trade, but now you have a little extra confirmation. When it comes down and touches the 30, or in this case, closes below it, now you've got a second opportunity to enter the exact same trade. And now you feel slightly better about it, because now instead of you getting in as price is going up when you're wanting to go short and waiting on it to slow down and turn around and finally come back in your direction, now you're catching it back on its way towards your direction. So a little bit better confirmation. So that's what I did. When this one closed back below 30, I'm in. And then I jumped down to a lower time frame and just started watching it. We got the 5, this was supposed to be the 15. Give me 1 second. The 5 to 15, the 30, and the 1 hour. And so this is what I saw. Well, this would have been the actual setup right here. That would have been your entry. Well, I missed it. Okay. Well, this is where I got in. And then I had this demand zone down below that's kind of in the way. However, it's already been used up this much. So my rule is always, I don't want anything in the way of between me and my first take profit. I want to be able to hit it with clear sailing ahead of me. Apparently, all of my analogies today are nautically based. So this first take profit here is actually in an area that's already been used up. So this version of the tool used to have a line that it would actually shrink it down, but this previous version, I should say, used to do that. This one doesn't. But I wanted to show you this, and this is one of those things that no matter what you learn in trading, everything that you do, it's a skill that you'll never unlearn. And so I'm down on the 5-minute chart, which I never watch, 5 and 15. And all right, where are we on this? Here we go. And I'm watching these. I'm watching price come down, come down, come down. Okay, and then it pops down and comes up and down and up, and it starts to form this wedge, this triangle. Now, years ago, back when I was in my buddy Brian's morning trading room, they traded wedges and breakouts. It's one of those things. Once you start to see them, you can't unsee them. Same thing with supply and demand. It gets in your head like an earworm, and you just can't. So, and I drew these on, and I'm like, okay, something's got to give. And as it's going, it's squeezing and it's squeezing and it's squeezing. I'm like, something's got to give. Something's got to give. And just so you know, traditional price action moves, that if you just study price action and learn the way that the probability is things normally go. When you have a squeeze like this, when you have a pennant or a triangle or a wedge, whatever they're called, or I should say they're called different things. Typically speaking, once price is done with its I don't know where I want to go movement, it continues in the direction that it was going before that. So if price comes down and goes sideways for a while, there's a higher probability than not it's going to continue going down. So I'm watching this, and I'm just sort of watching it for fun because I'm like, surely this isn't going to work out to be a classic wedge formation. And dadgummit, if it didn't, boom, drop down. And this is a 5-minute candle. I looked down and said, oh my goodness, how classic, how fun. And I don't trade this at all anymore, but it's information that I've had in my head forever. And it's useful. You absolutely can do that, trade it. And it came down to this 5-minute demand zone. And look, this sucker literally bounced off the demand zone. Almost to the what is this? NDX. So this would be to the penny. Oh, I'm sorry, this is gold. So to the also to the penny. And then started, going sideways. And so here, this is where we are right now. Let me just fast forward to real time. So do I have it all lined up? Oh yeah, let me put the supply and demand tool back on here. So this is a trade that I saw the setup initially on the 1-hour chart. You've got to start somewhere. I said, all right, let me just look at the 1-hour chart. And then you go up and down from it to see if you have something that looks plausible. See if any of these fit your rules. There's a time for every purpose. There's a purpose for every time is another way to put that. So what started off as, well, maybe I can catch a day trade on this, on the 15-minute chart or the 30-minute chart. It'll take as long as it needs to take. And honestly, there's depending on where your money's parked, whether it's a prop firm or your own money, there's no harm in letting it go. Now, if you're with Apex or Top Step or a futures prop firm, yeah, they're going to close your account. They're going to close your trade at the end of the day because futures. One of the reasons I don't trade futures, but it is just requires patience. Okay, it's going to take however long it takes, and at times I've been in drawdown, and at times I've been up. I mean, you look at this thing on the 1-hour chart. Price came down and hit. See this wick right here? Let me make this thing bigger. This giant wick right here. Price came down, couldn't hold that second, bounced up. Price came down, couldn't hold it, bounced up a little bit, tried it again, got further into it, bounced up a little bit. And I would not be at all surprised. I cannot draw on this one. This is not Trading View. I should use Trading View so I can draw on the screen. I would not at all be surprised if price continued to come down, bounced a little bit more, and bounce, and then finally punch through. I mean, this is a 1-hour demand zone that's been used up partially. So I wouldn't be surprised to see sometime overnight this first take profit level get hit. It just requires patience and the confidence that your setup, your strategy, your rules, the thing that you're doing is going to work regardless of your expectation on time. Again, if there are constraints around your trading, for instance, if you're with a prop firm that says do not hold trades overnight or over the weekend, bear that in mind. If I know that for some prop firms, for things like oil and certain indices, their swap fees for holding over the weekend are horrendously high. Bear that in mind. But if it's just a random Wednesday and there's no harm, no foul in holding it overnight, don't be locked into this. Oh my goodness, I started this thing I called a day trade, and now it's going to last. Doesn't matter. It's going to last however long. You plan the trade, let it go. Don't mess with it. One of the hardest things to learn as a trader is to let it go. To have that set it and forget it mindset. Zach says Apex recent. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to wait until the producer puts that up on the screen for me to read. There we go. Apex recently stopped allowing folks to trade gold because of the recent volatility. And again, thank you, Zach. I did not know that. By the way, there are odd rules about things. You have to fully investigate. One of the guys in our community came up with a brilliant idea, which is to take all the terms and conditions of these things and drop them into Chat GPT and say, "Hey, explain this to me." I mean, who here reads those things? So if there's an issue with a particular thing you like to trade, I love trading gold. I think everyone should trade gold. Gold is special. Gold is mentioned in the Bible. It's the 8th thing in the Bible that God called good, right? The first 7 things he called good in Genesis chapters 1 and 2. And then in chapter 2 or 3, it says there's 4 rivers that come out, and one of them is called, I forget what it's called. And anyway, and there's gold in the hills, gold in Medellium, and the gold there is good. All right, the 8th time God used the word good, it was about gold. Build up liquidity. That's what the markets do. On that point, we got to trade. Yeah. Mark's got a question, and the answer to that question is updates. Yes. Give me, Mr. Producer, pop that up here in 5 minutes, and I will answer his question. 4 minutes. So I say all that to say this. What got a member of our community who is in Indiana, and Indiana, as a state, won't let its residents trade gold. So just, I don't know what. Anyway, check out the rules where you live and who has control of your money. I wanted to show you my ABC trade from this morning, if I can successfully overcome. All right, NDX day trading. So I had a Forrest set up this morning. I use the reverse retail strategy. I'm going to have to ask you to elucidate on that point. Stefan, I don't know how to pronounce that. You said you're from Rotterdam, so it could be Stefan for all I know. Where was I this one? Here it is. So here was your signal. This is why I love Forrest. Forrest is just, and I'll explain tomorrow the logic behind these two and why they are both universal. I call them Frank and Forrest because I think I'm funny. Havelock by the Pishon River, right? That's where the gold is. So I come in here and I see, oh, look, this is where I was in somebody else's trading room, my buddy Isaac, and I was in his trading room. I'm trying to get in on this trade, and it was somewhere around here. So, okay, here was the breakout. I don't trade breakouts. I don't want to trade breakouts. I want to trade pullbacks. That's the type of trader I am. I won't go into it, but our training program, whatnot, talks about there's only 5 questions that for your entire trading strategy. There's only 5 questions for every trade. That's it. That's how it's 5 simple questions. And for me, the question that I answered is, how am I taking part as I get in on pullback? Well, once we had this break, I'm like, okay, well, if it pulls back to the 30, I'm in. If it pulls back to the 30, I'm in. Ain't coming back. So did I trade the NDX this morning? The NDX is the Forex version of the NASDAQ. I absolutely traded it this morning. Did I enter a trade? No. But just because my trade wasn't triggered doesn't mean I did not trade. I followed my rules. I followed my plan. Nothing happened. When in actuality, this right here at 6 a.m. was your trade. And if I had gotten in there, I just didn't turn my platform on till 7:30, 7:45. So I was somewhere around here and missed it. But this was and you look, this is what I love about this strategy. It's so simple. We put in new highs. We pulled back to the 30. There's your entry. What would that have been? Here's your stop. There's your entry. Probably a 2-to-1 trade, and would have been out. Well, probably would take you 3 or 4 hours, but you'd be out by now. Okay. Producer, would you please put back up the comment from Mark? I want to answer this before we get out of here. I know I'm rushing. I'm back to rushing again. I'm sorry. I'm rushing. I'm actually apparently Welsh, but I'm not. Update on potential live trading opportunities in this community. Yes, so I have polled our Discord channel, and waiting for their answer as far as would they use it more often. So the answer, Mark, to your question is yes. I do believe that a morning live trading room would be beneficial for people. The jury is still out on who gets to be in there. Probably everybody who's in the Discord. To get in the Discord, you have to be something on our list, right? Having bought the book or one of those things. Anyway, we're still working that out. I don't want to open up a room if people are going to just sort of, try it here, try it there, and it's not going to be helpful for them on a regular basis. Now, if we do this, it will not be, hey guys, we're all going to trade the same thing and argue amongst ourselves about how we're trading the same thing. It's going to be as if we're all sitting in the same room with our own computers, drinking a cup of coffee or tea for my producer, and trading our own thing, talking amongst ourselves so we can help hold one another accountable. There are details to work out. Fantastic, Zach. I will get the link working. We can talk about that when we talk. But if I have your email address, which I probably do since you had the book, I'll go look for it. I'll send you the link to the Discord channel. Wheels are in motion. A lot of those wheels fall on the shoulders of the IT department, otherwise known as Nick, my 22-year-old. And I love telling this story. People say, hey, what does Nick do? He's in IT, right? What does that mean? I don't know. Much like Mr. Producer is on the other end of the computer at home. He does things here, banning people from comments that they make that I don't understand. And I let him do his job, or I try to let him do his job. So anyway, guys, that's it for today. There was a lot going on there. I appreciate everyone being here. I will update you on the gold trade I've got going on. Don't forget, we've got those 3 setups on Frank on the daily chart. It was something Swiss, pound something, and Verizon. I remember Verizon specifically. Go back and rewatch this. Someone asked me a question about the Aussie yen. How did your Aussie yen trade go? I don't remember my Aussie yen trade. If you can really quickly remind me which strategy that was, it's probably Frank. If it was Frank, this is how it. Hang on. Stop doing that. This is why I need. If it was Frank, then this is how it went. I was in one here, and it worked out, and I was in another one, and it worked out. So hang on. I can tell you exactly how the Aussie yen chart trade went. Closed positions. Look at the last. I had a terrible day yesterday. All of those Kiwi pairs that I should not have still been in stopped out yesterday. It's like a 2% loss yesterday. Last 7 days, Aussie yen. Aussie yen was a win. So we entered it on the 25th of February, and we exited on the 3rd. So we exited yesterday. Timely question of yours. So anyhow, I am almost out of time. Yes, the market reached a bank level. Market make a break of structure, come back and honestly, the best trades for your personal mental health is set it and forget it and move on. Go leave the room, do something else. Or better yet, this is what got me over the hump all those years ago. I would set my day trade, my daily chart trading. I would do my swing trades. I'd set them up and then go over here and spend all of that trading energy that we all want to expend it, right? We wake up every morning. I want to go trade today. So I would go clickety over here on some swing trades, shut that down, and then go over here and start building and testing and sort of geek out on building a new system and testing it and use up all of that energy that I would otherwise have put over here, meddling with my trades. And as it turns out, swing trades and pretty much all trades flourish with your neglect, right? The more you leave them alone, the better off they are. Funny that. So, thank you guys for being here. There's a lot of questions. I appreciate all the interactivity. I'll be back tomorrow to explain more about these 2 strategies and the logic behind them and when to use them. Other than that, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow.